doesn't work. If it works for Abu Dhabi and Dubai and Saudi Arabia, where they can throw a lot of money at anything they want. It doesn't work for us in Africa. So we need to figure out how to solve for this. And that's what must exist. And that's why we challenge this idea of basic services. And because of that, the practice theory of change is around proving what is possible and figuring out how to bring it to scale. All the things I spoke about that we did at RICA was to try to understand that if you were to set ambitious goals on a project, how do you execute on it, implement it, and then take the lessons you've learned from there, like earth construction, get it into policy documents and scalable ventures like training manuals and everything else so that it can be accessible to more people. And that's what we've been doing for the last 10 years. In addition to that, in my introduction, they mentioned the TED Talk. Talk about why it's particularly important for Africa to invest in this. It's nice and good to see everything that everybody's trying to do here, but it's also equally important for us to think about the scale of the problems you're trying to solve. It's very easy for us to sit in Lagos and don't imagine the expansive land that the entire Nigeria is. It's not Lagos. Lagos is a small, cosmic city that has very different problems than some of the rural areas in the rest of Nigeria. And you can project that on the entire continent is staggering. So, because of that, the African Design Center Fellowship that they mentioned that we're also running in our office is aimed at creating a group of people, like-minded architects and designers, that commit their lifelong careers for this type of work. This was the first cohort. We're going to have the second cohort coming in October this year. 5 fellows will be in our office for 12 months. I'm going to end on this quote. A lot of architects are celebrated as geniuses, as people that are able to come up with innovative solutions to problems. And we are, that's true. Architecture is a powerful creative tool. But it's not a single person's venture. And I think the more we accept that, especially here in Africa, and make everyone be an architect, understand that what we're trying to solve is not going to come from one single person, but it's our collective effort, I think the more we stand a chance to succeed. Thank you. Do I stay here? Do I can sit by myself.
I like the way he came with the numbers. He's a very calm talker, but the numbers are there. I'm sure a number of us have questions, but I would have to pick just a few people. So please, if you have a few questions, can I see your hands so that we can quickly take them down? Okay, I have this young man ready. Can somebody please hand him the mic? This way, please. Please raise your hand so they can see you. Yes. All right. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is David Igimo from Department of Architecture, Nasos Tech. I want to appreciate Ecobank for organizing this program. I also want to appreciate the speakers from the very first day. My question goes thus. It says, what steps can be taken to empower young African designers to not only participate in shaping the future, but to lead the global conversation on sustainable and inclusive designs?
Thank you very much. Please a round of applause for him.
I'm not sure I understood the question.
Okay. So I want you to please speak slowly and more articulate. Please, once again.
Yeah. Sorry, my hearing is messed up, so you need to speak a bit louder.
All right, please, the question again.
what I'm trying to say is how can we, what steps can we take to empower young architects, young designers in Africa to not only participate in shaping the future, but also to lead the global conversation on sustainable and inclusive design? How can we empower them? How can we advise them, bring them up, train them to not only design the future, but to design it and still maintain the African style, to maintain that nature of the African style?
Yeah. I don't know I have an answer to that question. I wish I did, but I don't think I do. And I'm going to answer it with another question, is why, like, okay, what disempowers them now not to do it? Because I think that's the question we need to ask. Like, what is in the way right now that prevents us from doing exactly what you're doing, what you're saying? And then we work towards removing those things. Because most of the things you're talking about are not aspirational. If we just do what we're supposed to do diligently now, here, we don't have to worry about inspiring the world. The world will come to seek inspiration. The same way that also as we go to seek inspiration elsewhere where they've done things, right? So for me, the question is not what we should do to empower people to do things, but it's how do we remove things that hinder us to actually do that? Because there's a reason we don't do it. Otherwise, we would do it. Am I making sense? I don't know. Does that answer your question? I'm sorry. It looks like I'm confusing you, but that's the best answer I can come up with.
Okay. Please, can you hand on the mic, please? Is this a follow-up or another question? All right, please go ahead.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. First of all, thank you, Ecobank, for organizing this amazing talk. I want to ask a question, but it's very hard to go straight into the question without commending you, and it's absolutely amazing what you're doing. Very simple question. You spoke about sealing the inside of your interiors when you leave them as exposed earth. What is it that you use to seal the interiors of those walls that's safe?
Right, so we experimented with a number of sealants. Some of them are natural and some of them are industrial, depending on the use of the places. So the natural ones, we learned that there are plants, I forget what they're called, that when they're processed in, I don't know, some ways, they have this resin that becomes sticky at the end of it. So it gets mixed with water, so it can be absorbed like very early on like earth surfaces. And usually that use would be for a bedroom where there's no like heavy uses, it would be enough to seal the wall. But for places that are more, like receive more water, like kitchens or where there's processing, we use industrial sealants that you just buy from a factory and you just apply it on the...
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Before we take our next question, I see that we have more hands. I just want to give honorable mention to, the lady that just asked that question. If you look around, just on top of the ceiling, I want to make sure that I pronounce this right. Mobos Vessels, am I correct? She did all of this. Please a round of applause for her. Everything you're seeing by the windows and up there. And later on you began in the announcements, but all these are also part of the sustainability thing, and I'm just happy to see that Nigerians, we know they carry last, right? Please a round of applause for her again. All right. So I have, yes, please. All right, I'm coming right next to you.
Thank you. My name is Abil Absalam. Growing up, as an architectural student, growing up then, when you are designing, the windows are always like 1002 by 15, 1002 by 12, 1.2 by 18. But if you look at contemporary architects now in Nigeria, for example, you see some houses 700 by 15, 600 by short windows. You have to complain that not everybody uses an AC. Sometimes there might be power shortage, and you see those spaces are so eat up. And even the lighting is not actually, you can't just sit in a room now and then you can see a whole lot of buildings. But because it has actually, the windows are just little short now. I don't know, is this the trend for architects now? Or rather we should go back to what we see, we have these windows are for lighting and ventilations, but these are gone. I don't know, what is architecture turning into now? Maybe we are going to where there's no be window again.
Please, a round of applause for him. He's speaking our minds, please.
Yeah, I like your point. I like your point. But there's a couple of things that come through. One is, you gave an example that is hard to pass without mentioning it, that there might be power shortages. One, I feel like we need to resist normalizing that power shortages should occur. Like, first of all, it should not be acceptable. No, don't say it's Africa. No. Like, that's what I'm trying to say is like, to your point, you were telling me that you were asking, like, what do we do to empower ourselves? I think the first thing we have to do is to change our mindset. This African nonsense, and therefore every type of like mediocrity is accepted, is a major hindrance for us to do things properly. If there should be power, there should be power, period. The challenge is architecture and design disciplines are dangerous because even when they're responding to their own problems, they work. If you ask architects to design around power shortages, we will come up with ingenious solutions. Guess what? When we do that, we normalize the condition that power is not permanent. I'm using that example, which can be banal. But in certain instances, it becomes very dangerous. In healthcare, for instance, and education, we've made it normal to accept that a child that is going to school in some rural state in Nigeria deserves a certain type of school, without questioning whether that school delivers on education outcomes targeted by our society. And we put a price on that school, and we build it over and over again. We iterate on it very little every 25 years. But as professionals, we should not be okay with that. So that's the first one. The second one, you're mentioning about standardization. I have nothing against standardization. Our society lives and should live on our ability to find solutions and then scale them. It's part of our theory of change as well. But it's what we standardize. Because if we go to, I don't know, a place and find that they do those windows casing standard the way you described them and bring them to Nigeria, we don't carry the entire supply chain and structural systems that made them adopt that standard. You might find similar to how we were limited to 4.1 meters log of timber because that's the kiln that exists in the country, that maybe those dimensions come from a supply chain that is properly set up so that manufacturers and retailers and sellers of those elements benefit from each section. I don't know if you guys in Nigeria have these places called juakaris where people make things like chairs and everything, but it's not a proper factory. When you go there, as designers, you know, and you have these ideas of beautiful designs, they will look at them for 1 minute. They'll tell you, no, you can't do that first. Do you know why? Because in their computation in their head, there is 5 things they do, and they have the economics of those things down to the dot. They know if I get a truck of timber, it has X number of elements. I'm going to sell X amount of chairs, X amount of tables, X amount of wooden ceiling slats, and my profit is going to be between this and that. Anything that falls outside of that economic structure, no. Unless you are willing to pay premium. You pay them a lot because you're also buying the wastage and everything else, so they cover the entire profit for everything you're buying. And therefore, the thing that I designed that looks very beautiful that I can put here on the screen and everybody's like, wow, that's fantastic, cannot become standard until we've changed all of that supply chain down to that person that sells that timber in the Joakari. That's the work we have to do so we can get to a point where you're describing where we have standardized windows and doors that everybody can go to the market and buy and install. But again, it's also like responding, can't believe I'm saying this, to power outages and everything else, but like that's another, does that answer your question? Cool.
All right, thank you very much. I think we have more questions. But you know, he mentioned something now. He said that, you know, the places where they make furniture in Nigeria, we say are local carpenters. We know their hub. Something's a little different with what you said. In Nigeria, you would take something to your local carpenter and show him. Even if he can't do it, he will not tell you he can't do it. They will say they can do it. And then what happens is, they know, is what I want versus what I got. You guys know what I'm saying now. They're not going to own up to it. They'll try, but it's almost never the same. But yeah, thank you very much. Please a round of applause for him.
Let's appreciate that confidence.
What did you say?
Let's appreciate that confidence.
I mean, yeah, we appreciate it. Please a round of applause for our carpenters too. I know we have a few more questions, so I'm just going to do 3 more. I see 2 people that have been raising their hands. I have 1 there. Okay, 1, 2, and 3. Thank you very much. Okay, I'll give you. I don't think any lady has spoken. I'll give you. Yeah, all right. So please go ahead. Yeah, let him speak, please. Yeah.
All right. So my question is concerning the Adobe bricks. You use them in the ALU University.
We used what?
You use them in the ALU University.
African Leadership University.
Yeah, in Kigali. Yeah. So my question is, in comparison with concrete, how good are these Adobe bricks? Because it's clay we are dealing with, and yes, we've seen that clay can last, and sometimes too, they are also faulty. Yeah, they can last too if you've actually tested them.
They can't last?
Like, if you look at them, they last, and also they don't last, if I want to put it like that. Maybe it's the method on which, or the method which you process them, and also the components, what is in them, and how they can be replicated. You understand? The ones that you did in Kigali, can they actually work in this part of Africa? And the last thing, can you use them without cement? So those are my questions.
Okay, so the lasting part is hard to. Yeah, you're right. They last, but their shelf life might not be as long as concrete. I'll answer it in two ways. The first one is about also the idea of permanence of architecture. We have buildings that have lasted millennia on this planet right now that are not built with concrete. They're all over in China and whatever. It's stone and timber, like they've been there for 2,000 years, right? So the question of material permanence is relative to the environment, the care it gets, and everything else, right? So this assumption that concrete lasts is a marketing stance to their credit of, concrete manufacturers, right? Yes, it lasts, but it's not the only thing that lasts. Other things can also last. I think that's one way. The other way to answer it is that not everything on the building is supposed to last all of that life, that shelf life of the building. This building we're in, I can guarantee you, maybe in 70 years, this room will be configured differently. What we need to conserve is the concrete columns and a couple of things. We'll tear this door out and this wall and create something else different, right? So we also need to understand buildings as not like everything that needs to be there the way it is like for millennia, but like something that changes, that adapts. And then you take concrete that you want to last, you limit it to those things you want to be there for the next 200 years. But for walls that might change because the operator of this building has changed, you don't have to have material that is going to last 1,000 years. If you think about it, it's actually a waste, right? Why would you build this in reinforced concrete only to give a headache to the person that is going to be destroying it in 20 years to create something new, right? Like, so I think we need to change our attitude towards what makes the building and what do we chase when we talk about durability, and be able to defend those things when we are discussing with people. Does that answer your question? And the last question about, again, you're asking me like, how can we do that? I wish I knew the answer. I wish I knew how we could all build with earth construction. Actually, we do. I don't understand why we don't build with it. So I don't know what we need to remove out of our way so we can do it. So I'll give you the same answer to what without cement. Yes, again, the same answer. What do we need to change now so we can build with them without cement? Is it to carry more research at university levels? Maybe. Is it to ask policymakers to change building codes so we can build them without cement? Maybe. Should we change the curriculum of engineering students so they can learn and how to build with them safely? Maybe we should do that. Like, I don't know what needs to happen. All I know is that we have to do things differently.
Thank you very much. Please, can you hand him the mic, please? Your question? Yes, please.
Thank you. It has to do with the question the young man asked a question on what could be done to see that some of these things we are talking about are being actualized. And I think we have to go back to the curriculum of we have to go back with what is being taught in our schools. If we need to have a reset of minds, we have to also have a reset of the curriculum in all our schools. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Please, a round of applause for him. I think it ties perfectly, with what Christian has just said. Yes, we have it. Sorry, sir. Yes, please, can you bring the mic here to the front, all the way to...
Thank you very much, the MD. And Christian, thanks a lot for that wonderful presentation. Mine is not a question, but I'll give certain comments that will help some of the questions that were thrown to you. First of all, my comment is that you've done a good work, and it's a sustainable campus. And that's part of sustainability studies. And he was able to take us through the scientific part of the sustainability studies, looking at the materials, the strength, the testing, and all that. And a particular question here talks about the cultural aspect, okay? And I want to say that for what he has presented, he was teaching us more about the experience on the project based on the scientific, the strength of the materials, the usefulness of the materials. And to talk about the culture will be another presentation. That's why you may not be able to answer all that. Definitely, there have been many studies on the cultural aspect of sustainability and then also the scientific aspect. I'm a professor of architecture. Dare Abel is my name, from Lasistec. Okay. Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. I want to commend what the MD Ecobank is doing. It's going to be, in the near future, you're going to see the dividends of what we're doing here at Ecobank. I'm proud to say that my family banks with Ecobank. I pushed my wife and my daughter to bank with Ecobank, but I'm not yet in. All right. So, yes. So the other aspect is, can we build with clay or earthworks without cement? Yes. If you go to Britain, most parts of Europe, most of the buildings there are in bricks. Bricks are from clay, but they have been processed, heated up to form the bricks. And he explained that part of the roofing, he said that in his presentation, part of the ceiling slates were, burnt in the furnace for us to get stronger clay material. So it will eventually withstand the forces of nature, the rainfall, sunlight, and all that, for hundreds of years to last. And then also, this method, which they have used, the stabilization with cement, is also a very good one, and which is being practiced now in Africa, most parts of Africa. We use between 5 to 15% cement, and then it stabilizes it, makes it last longer too in the environment. So it's a beautiful work that you have done, Christian. I want to really commend you. Thank you very much. So there will be other discuss on these issues. Thank you very much.
Please, a round of applause for him. Big, big round of applause. Thank you very much, sir. I have a lady here that has a question. Please help me hand out the mic.
Okay, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Opera Chinaza, a student of LASUSTEC, Architecture Department. So my question is, in the model project you presented to us, have you been able to do an economical, have you been able to do an economic viability to build, to the buildings compared with other products that are not locally sourced?
Economic viability.
What?
Economic viability.
Yes.
Okay. What does that mean? I'm not sure I understand.
I mean, in other words, what I'm saying is how economically viable are the products used in that building, we used in other buildings, compared to the locally sourced products.
So I think you're saying that comparing the prices of the normal buildings that we're used to and then this one, would you say which is cheaper?
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
All right. Thank you very much. Please, a round of applause for her. Brilliant question.
Yeah, I think I understand, and that's also like one of the challenge of doing an apple to oranges comparison, if I can say that. Most of the things we did here, we cannot evaluate their economic viability against materials that did not follow the same processes. And I want to explain to you why. For instance, to get to that stabilized earth block that we made, we had to have people go to find the right soil. We had people go to make those bricks, test them, and take all the data, and then go back again to test more on the ones that are successful. So it's like a staggered testing process. And then after we did that and say, okay, these are the bricks we're going to make, we landed on one. We know the mixture, we know the type of soil and everything else. Then we hired people to go to get that soil. They came, we made the bricks, we supervised the process of making the bricks so that we assure the quality, nothing slips, and then we built with them, right? We paid for the entire time for people to supervise that. So if you take the time of those people and add on the cost of the material itself, the end product is very expensive. So that brick, I cannot compare it to a cinder block that is made from a factory because the cinder block has already reached scale. There is a person whose business is to get sand. That's all they do. They go, get sand, deliver it to wherever they deliver it. There's a factory that has optimized cement making. Like, that's all they do. They only make cement, put in a bag, put on a shelf, you come and buy. And then there is a person whose business is to make cinder blocks. They bought machines from, I don't know, China, Turkey, England, whatever. The machine is there, they put sand, they put cement, the machine is calibrated, punches a brick out, put it out, dries, goes away. The people that are on that supply chain, they don't go through the same process, or they don't cost as much as it costs us to make that block. So until our stabilized compressed earth blocks reaches the same scale in supply chains, the cost comparison will continue to be off. But there must be an investment in figuring out that block, because if we don't do it, we'll continue using the cinder blocks. And that's not a good excuse enough to continue using it. At some point, we actually have to shift and do it. Unfortunately, right now, in the state of the world, only powerful countries are investing in renewable energies, alternative materials, and everything else, while we on the continent, who are going to build the largest floor space in the next 50 years, are relying on ancient technology other people are abandoning. It's maddening to think about, right? So I don't know where the capital comes from that supports innovation, but also scaling of that innovation that allows us to build in a sustainable way, but we have to start somewhere. So I don't know if I answered your question or not answering it, but I cannot answer it actually, and I was explaining to you why.
Are you clear? Please a round of applause for him and for her as well. Brilliant question. I've already taken all the questions I can. Somebody's begging me, should I agree? They are not answering no. Should I agree? All right, please hand him the mic. Very last question. All right, please. Ah, it's the guy at the back. Please don't, I can't look at you. I don't want to be tempted. Just give it to the guy at the back.
Good afternoon. So concerning your campus that you built, you made use of earth and timber.
It's not my campus.
Okay, the campus that you built.
Yes.
So instead of cement, you made use of earth, and instead of steel, you made use of timber in order to save the ecosystem, right? So I'm thinking that if we continue using timber at the long run, because the process of timber growing, like they're saying that if you cut down one tree, you plant down 5. So it's going to take time. Is there a way that we can make use of both the timber and steel and earth and cement? And I want to ask also that in the excavation of the clay site that you made mention, have you gone back to check on the effect that was made on that land? Thank you.
A round of applause for him, please.
Cool. How do you think steel is made? You know, because the reason why I asked that question is because there is also this tendency to think that because things are delivered on a truck to our site and everything else, it hasn't created havoc where it comes from. So the comparison of saying like you cut down a tree and you set us back 20 years or whatever it is also like a fallacy. Every act of building is taking resources and using it for a different purpose. For us to be able to use resources efficiently, one, I think we need to know the sources of the resources we're using. Two, make decisions of what we are building the materials with. Because the culture of being blind of where the materials comes from also has made us comfortable with the idea of ordering steel from Turkey to build a pergola in your backyard, right? Because you don't see where the iron ore came from, the condition that it was taken to China to be turned into steel, the condition that steel factory or however they get their fuel to make that steel, the transportation back to Africa. Because that entire process is outside of your site, we don't consider it setting our ecosystem backwards, right? So there are practices of where if you are custodian of a certain ecosystem, there are trees you cut because they grow faster for intensive use, like firewood and everything else. There are trees you cut once every 20 or 30 years. Because with that timber, that hard wood, then you can build the strongest part of houses that you're not going to demolish again after 2 years and build it again. It's there to stay 20, 40, 50 years until such a similar tree has also grown up to maturity. Most of our communities that live around these natural ecosystems understood that, and they lived in harmony with that system. You feed off the resources you have in a sustainable way. Therefore, what you choose to build has to be in line with the resources you can get. But globalization has made it as comfortable. Using things for needs we don't have yet that take a lot of resources from the planet to fuel vices we have. In our practice, we like to say that we need to resist the temptation of doing things because we can. In Dubai, they have an ice skating rink. You guys know what an ice skating rink is? Like, to skate on ice in Dubai. Like, it's a feat of engineering. It's a fantastic project. But should we build an ice skate rink in Dubai? What for? You can go to ski in Switzerland or whatever it is. In Dubai, they are rich anyways. They have money to travel. Why would you do that, right? So I think it's not about this material is intensive in our ecosystem, whatever it is, but it's more about responsible use of natural materials for the purpose we want them to use for. That answer your question? The land. Yes, so all those processes, actually that's a good question. So it's like where you get clay, there must be processes of restoring that land. So because we're in control of it, we can also control what happens to it. But if we get a piece of steel from, I don't know, a supplier, we don't have the power to look behind that supply chain. So in our processes, for instance, you saw that we planted more than 500,000 trees as part of that particular project. So yes, everyone we commissioned to get clay for our project, part of their methodology was about restoring our clay pits or whatever we're sourcing it. Because those practices are not new. We have potters in the country. When I was coming here, I saw some similar crafts in Nigeria where people make clay pots, right? So there are practices that are already existing as part of the community on where they get the clay and what they do with it, how they know to move to the next pit and leave this one to recover over certain years before they come back to it. We did not invent the wheel. We just looked at what exists there and then just turned the purpose. We were making clay pots, let's make bricks. We were making firewood and all these chairs with uneven legs, let's use it for timber trusses. Does it make sense? So we didn't change much.
Thank you very much. Please, a round of applause for that brilliant question. And another big, big round of applause for Christian Benny Mana. I'm just going to say that I feel like if you give me like 3 years, I'll be coming for your job. I've learned so much. I feel like I'll be able to do. No, I'm serious. I've learned so much, and I feel like everyone here has also learned so much from you as well, and it's fantastic. Thank you for being with us. Please, a big round of applause.
Yes. Oh, I stay?
Just for pictures.
Okay.
Yes.
Sure. I stay here.
Yes, just
okay.
Here. Sir, please, let's come up. Let's come up. Where's Madam B? I saw her just now. Okay, let's come up for pictures. All right. Mr. Austin. All right, please come. Prof, please. Thank you very much. Please, a round of applause. I mean, your prof made you so proud.
I can't delivered to your satisfaction. Sure, I'm here. We can talk about anything you want. Should I keep this on?
Thank you very much. Okay, sorry, just one more picture, right? All right, one more picture. All right, thank you very much. Please, a big, big round of applause for